Hey Facebook friends and YouTube, I'm going to make a video now about love, and I actually haven't made a video about this yet, which is funny because this is the most important thing in Christianity and it's the most important thing to God. Alright, Galatians 5:22, the fruit of the Spirit is love, and then also the Bible says God is love. So when we are acting in love, then we are acting like God and Jesus. Okay, 1 John 3:16. This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers. If anyone has material possessions and sees his brother in need but has no pity on him, how can the love of God be in him? Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth. That's good. So we shouldn't be all talk. We should be action too. So yeah, like if you have an overabundance of a certain thing like clothes or food or extra furniture or something like that, then, you know, you should like post on Facebook like, hey, does anybody need this or that? So, yes. 1 Corinthians 13:1. If I, Paul, speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. That is really important. The fruit of the Spirit is more important than the gifts of the Spirit. Our character is more important than what we can do. Who we are is more important than what we do. That would be a good one-liner for Facebook. But that's very important. And yeah, like if we don't have love, we have nothing. Because, I mean, if you know, anyone who doesn't have love, they would be said to be heartless. And if you have no heart, that's just a horrible way to live for yourself, because then you have to live with yourself. Then if you have no love, then you don't even love yourself. And then you would just be miserable and sad all the time. And I think that's like the number one, like growing up as a kid, we need to learn how to love ourselves, not like in a selfish, egotistical way, but enough to like, you know, care for ourselves. That's the whole process of growing up, is that we're learning how to love ourselves and take care of ourselves, like by taking a shower and eating, like feeding ourselves and getting enough sleep. And then once we got that mastered, once we got that down, then we move on to getting married, and we can love somebody else and take care of them. And then once we got that mastered, then we have kids and we take care of them and love them. So yeah, that really is kind of a new idea, or I think it's a pretty good epiphany that, you know, we have to be masters at loving ourselves and caring for ourselves first before we can love other people. And that just looks like getting enough sleep, eating healthy, and having good hygiene, of course. Okay. 1 John 4:7. Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. Yeah, so. And what does that look like? Obviously, like caring about other people, caring about, you know, caring about saying things that will affect them in a positive manner. And in saying that, I don't mean always being nice, because sometimes there's tough love. Sometimes people need to hear things that they probably don't want to hear, but maybe they need to hear them. So I don't think love equals nice. I think love equals whatever's going to bring about the greatest good for that person. So, but that's just my somewhat lion personality saying that, I suppose. But I'm sure that a golden retriever would say, no, love just equals being nice all the time. But no, it doesn't. So, and I think that Jesus, you know, we're supposed to emulate Jesus, and he was all about correcting people, but he was hoping that that would cause them to be a better person, you know. Like he always corrected the Pharisees, although I don't know if he thought that there was any hope for the Pharisees. But with his disciples, he did rebuke them and correct them a lot, I think in the hopes that they would see that they had a problem, that they were lacking in faith, and that they would, you know, decide to have more faith. So, yes, like Jesus never corrected someone, I mean, without him, I think, thinking that, well, hopefully this will make them improve. and how, you know, he knew that they had potential to be better, and that's why he corrected them. Okay, now these three remain: faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. 1 Corinthians 13:13. I was thinking about that the other day. The greatest of these is love. Like, faith and hope are nice, but it's more important that we love, you know, that we love others, that we love ourselves, take care of ourselves, that we love God. Yes. I'm not sure what else I would say about that, but okay. We love because God first loved us. So anyone who hasn't really experienced God's love, it's hard for them to love other people fully. And so that's important. And if someone isn't fully loving you, you need to understand where they're coming from, that probably they haven't fully received or felt or understood God's love for them. And that's why they're not loving you as much as they could. So it's kind of, yeah, like you should have compassion on them instead of being mad, like, or, you know, like expecting more from them. You should just realize, like, well, I guess they just haven't really felt God's love as much as I have. So that's why they don't have as much love to give, you know? So that might help you if you have to, like, interact with people that aren't all that loving. You know, you just need to have sympathy and compassion, like, well, I guess that they don't feel God's love that much for whatever reason because they decide not to, or I don't know. So that's why God says that we should pray for our enemies or pray for anyone who, you know, comes against us. All right, if anyone says, I love God, yet hates his brother, he is a liar. For anyone who does not love his brother whom he has seen cannot love God whom he has not seen. That is a really good verse. So hate would be like you're thinking about that person all the time and how much, like, you want bad things to happen to them or something. Anyways, obviously we should never do that. So obviously we can be frustrated with people, but we shouldn't hold on to that. We shouldn't hold on to grudges. We shouldn't think about that person all the time. We should just let it go. And that's what forgiving is just letting it go. And I think really forgiving is, before I had said it's forgetting, but it's also, yeah, just not thinking about that person or what they did, you know. That's forgiving. You just stop thinking about whatever happened. Like, as long as you're thinking about it and getting mad about it, then you haven't forgiven, you know. So you just have to forget about it. And once you do forget about it, then you know that you really, truly have forgiven that person. All right. Jesus said, this is my command, love each other. Yes. Jesus said, as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, all men will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. That's really important. And I think that's why maybe the world doesn't really believe in the church, or they see the church as hypocrites or phonies. Because there isn't, I mean, it depends, but a lot of times there isn't a whole lot of love in the church. It's just kind of a broken system, really. I mean, if you think of, like, the way church is run, it's just everybody comes, we all sit and listen to one person, and then we all leave. And it's like, what's the point of that? Like, you know? I mean, it really does seem like, where's the love there? It's more like school. But anyways, it is really a broken system. That's not the way church was originally supposed to be. You know, Paul said when you come together, everyone has a hymn, a psalm, a word of instruction, you know, a tongue. Let all things be done in order. But the point is that we're all supposed to be able to speak, and we're all supposed to listen to each other, you know. So I guess that's why a lot of times people might come into a church and they'll see the pastor and they'll think, well, he doesn't love me because he doesn't talk to everybody and he doesn't listen to people. I mean, it is kind of weird if you really think about it. Like, pastors expect everybody to listen to them, but then they're not going to listen to anybody. And we wonder why people aren't all that motivated to go to church. Well, that's why. And I've always been a little bit annoyed with that too, even though I've been a churchgoer for 34 years. I have always really preferred home group Bible studies, because then you're actually, like, listening to each other and talking to each other. And then you, like, actually feel the love. So if you're frustrated with Sunday morning service, just skip out on that and go to a small group. And I guarantee you will like it a lot more. And it will just feel like it makes sense and like that's actually church and that's where people are really loving each other. So, but it is good to go Sunday morning too, because it's cool to like sing together. And if you don't know the Bible very well, then that is good. So you can learn, more about what the Bible says. And so anyways, may God bless you all. Have a great day. I hope that helped some of you. Have a good day. Bye.